Good morning, afternoon, evening, guys. You're locked into Conscious Minds TV with myself, D.V.G. And this is the Cotch, and this is episode 10. And today, my very special guest is Violet Mae Brown. And we're going to be talking about medical astrology and alchemy and how we can use it for self-healing and ascension. How's it going, sister?
Very well, very well. Good day. It's the sun is shining. It's pretty cool outside. It's nice and brisk. And yeah, I'm having my cup of tea.
It's all good. I really appreciate you taking your time to talk to me. I've been following your work for a little while now, and it's a real honor to have you on my show. And I'm really looking forward to discussing some ideas on the topics of astrology and medical astrology and alchemy. And I'm sure we're going to touch up on other subjects as well while we're going through the show. So just before we get into our discussion, just if anyone wants to get in touch with you via social media, what are the main platforms you have? I know you have your website, which I want to talk about in more detail, but this is just like a quick summary of where people can contact you on social media.
Okay, well, my name on Facebook is Violet Mae Brown.
Yep.
And I also, let's see, social media. I'm getting up my Instagram. I don't have a Twitter. Just basically used Facebook as a means of contacting people.
Yep.
And then if they want a reading, they can contact me through Skype if they contact me through Facebook. And then my website is vividviolet.solutions. So that's what you would type into the address bar to get there.
No problem. Like I said, I'm gonna ask you a few more questions about that as we go a bit more deeper into the show. But before we get into the main subject, I always like to find out a bit about my guests and to find out at what point in their life did they start their spiritual journey? Were they always spiritual growing up, or was it through a particular event? How did your journey come about?
Well, for me, a lot of it was just my family. My whole family are very spiritual people.
Yeah.
You know, my mom's closest sister in age's husband, who is now divorced with my family, so he's not technically blood related to me.
Yeah.
But he was there at really crucial times of my life. His name's Christian Johnson. He's my uncle. And so he's like a godfather to me because he was there, you know, when we really needed help. And when I was 7 years old, we were driving in the car somewhere. And he goes, "Violet, you are not your body." And I was 7 and I didn't get it at first. And I said, "What do you mean?" And then he said, "That which peers through you is not the body that you own." And then I started getting it, and then he goes, "That which peers through me is eternal. My body will die, but I will forever be."
Yeah.
And I got that at a really early age. And we would, you know, he would always, we had telescopes, and we would always look at the stars and talk about, you know, astrology. And then, you know, like when I was about 20, I had like a very transcendental experience where I basically saw like I saw the bigger perspective. I saw the unity perspective of where I was at, you know, from where I was standing on the earth. I could see the whole of everything, what it looked like at 20 on my 20th birthday.
Wow.
So I had this awakening, and then I started really getting into astrology because I had always been into astrology since the age of 7. And then people were like, "What's your sun sign?" And I said, "I'm Pisces." And people say, "Oh yeah, you're totally Pisces." And then I started looking into it. And of course, you know, and then I found out later that I have all these planets in Pisces. And and then I just started getting into that. My uncle started getting into making spygerics, practical plant alchemy. He gets basically he made his own distiller. He set up all these things to make it, and then he eventually had enough money to actually buy a real distiller, and he started distilling wine and getting the pure spirits from that. And then he would extract the herbs that he would get from a local shop, and he would just make medicine. And now he's a distributor, and he really taught me about alchemy. So I know that there's like the three pillars of high magic would be, astrology, the macrocosm, alchemy, the microcosm, and then theology and language etymology is everything that connects us together, connects the dots. Yeah. So I got that, within the last 4 years, I've really been understanding that, and, doing things like yoga, and having that as a practice. I do it, I do my yoga privately because I like to meditate. So that
makes sense, because obviously if you're around other people, you'll be taking in their energies, so you want to be kind of in your own space. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
because also, like, I was looking into how like psychedelics and stuff, and like people like Terence McKenna and Graham Hancock, and Terence McKenna was saying that to get the full experience, it's always best to do it on your own.
That's right.
Talking about your sun sign, you said you're a Pisces. A question I always ask my guests is, what do you love most about your sun sign? And if there is anything you dislike, what is it you dislike about being born under the sign of Pisces?
Well, I like that it's very interesting and intriguing to me that it's the last sign of the zodiac, which means that it's all about endings and finishing up things. And there's a bit of an ego death with Pisces. That's why they're the martyr, which is, I would say, one of the negative things. The positive things, very spiritual, psychic. I'm very imaginative. Like, I very much use my imagination to create my reality. Very Venetian, because I have Venus in Pisces as well.
Wow.
They're the waters above and the waters below, because that's why it's two koi fish, one going up and one going down. So it's an enigma. It's two forces coming together into one, and realizing that the duality perspective within the unity, and making like a battery. It is red shift, blue shift in a way, because it's black and white. And so that's really intriguing to me. The negative side would be, of course, like the victim. They play the victim because they're so receptive, because they're the two fish, the 2 feet, the most absorbent animals and the most absorbent part of your body.
Yeah.
That's why they're so psychic and receptive, because they pick up on other people's energies, and they're known to be prone to get like flus and colds and mucousy types, because they're water. And so there's like the physical part about it isn't as strong, but the spiritual side of Pisces is very strong and very powerful. And it can be like a little, bottom feeder that just feeds on algae, or like a funny dolphin, or they could be a shark, they could be out there because another thing is that, because Jupiter rules in Pisces, so that's a benefic, and Venus exalts in Pisces.
Yeah. Also, Neptune is correlated to Pisces as well, and that's a very transcendental planet as well.
Yeah, it's what they call the syncretists planet. It's my capacity to transcend the finite self through a greater whole, aka unity perspective or syncretism. So yeah, it's the ultimate syncretist. And then another thing that I've just currently found out, that Pluto exalts in Pisces. So there's always this death side about Pisces. That's why they're about endings, and that's why Pluto is the last. It's the last planet
Makes sense because of Hades is the underworld as well. So
yeah, and Pisces is all about the subconscious. So they're more prone to be like in a daydream as opposed to like in the conscious reality. But you have to look at other things in the chart, you know, if there's any, you know, conscious planets there. So I've got Leo rising, which gives me a lot of fire and a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So I'm not, you know, a scared little fish as much in a way. Pisces is known to be like it. You see like a pond of fish and you're only a few feet away and you start walking close and they all scatter because they can feel the vibrations of the stomps. So so there's good and bad with Pisces. It's the sign of the enigma. It's yin yang.
There's good and bad with every sign, really. I think, like you said, how the spiritual side of Pisces is really good, but the more material side of Pisces is not so good. But I would say that that's the same with me as being a Scorpio. Like, I love the spiritual side of us, but in the material realm, we can be quite destructive. So there's like everything's double-sided. It's just we've got to try and find that balance and use the material and spiritual and bring them together.
Right. Yeah, I've got planets in Scorpio as well, actually. I've got Jupiter and Pluto and Rahu all in Scorpio in the 4th. So, yeah.
I have Pluto in Scorpio in 4th also. I have Saturn as well. So I've got quite a few, I've got a couple of malefics.
Yes.
In Scorpio. Yeah. I spoke about your website at the start, which is Vivid Solutions. Let the people know what products they can find on there, what services you can get on there, and what Vivid Solutions is about.
Okay, so it's just my little website that I made through Wix, and it just kind of gives kind of like an introduction of what I do, and what I'm bringing forth would be like the 3 essentials for ascension and being able to understand the earth and the cosmos, which would be the astrology, the alchemy, and the theology or etymology, which would be like magic and using your words and your intentions to help change the frequencies. That's why, so you can book online a reading with me, and I teach you, you know, how to read the chart first and foremost. If there's anything, you know, any specifics that they want, of course, we get right into, you can do compatibility charts, vocational charts, you know, looking at synastry between people.
Yeah.
I also do the medicals, which is what I specialize in. And a lot of people like that because, you know, doctors they're not helping. Yeah. So they should be astrologers and herbalists. So I'm helping people see that. I'm not, you know, I don't say I have all the answers, but I can help people guide them. And that's why I also do soul navigation. It's medical astrology, alchemy, and soul navigation. So I help navigate through you, through the chart.
Yeah.
And there's other things too, like I give you the crystals. Another thing that I offer through my website is you can either book a reading or you can get separately my 4 I call them intentional implements. And one of them is a wand. One of them is the protection rod, which would be the dagger. Then I've got seashells with opal and agate and ammonite in it. And then I've got like a piece of wood, which resembles the earth, as like, and have like a grid on this piece of wood. So those would be resembled as the 4 elements.
Yeah.
And that's something that I do is customized readings, where if I'm looking at your chart, I determine and analyze with you which element that would be more fitting for your astrology. So the protection rod or dagger would be fire. The wand would be air. The seashell cup would be water. And then the Gaia gemstone grid would be the earth element. So that's something that we go through. It's very unique. So it's going to be, all of the crystals will be pertaining to crystals that are needed, energies of the planets that are needed to be brought up in the chart. So another thing I offer is like a daily routine, weekly, where there's certain plants that you have on certain days at certain hours of the day.
Yeah.
And so I give people the link to, little apps that you can have on your phone, which tells you the planetary hour of the day. And then I also have little images to send them, and sometimes they print it out, and they hone in on the planet's full potential at certain times of the day. And so yeah, that's another method of alchemy that is very powerful, that I've been doing for 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And even more powerful than that, like medicinal herbs extracted at certain times of the day, which is another thing that you can find on my website, is my Uncle Chris and his spygerics. I have that on my website. The thing about his website too, I just want to say really quick, is that he cannot send product overseas at the moment. He can only do in America. But there's another website that I give to people that will be able to ship overseas. So I just want to keep that in mind for people. And you can find all this stuff on my Facebook. So I've got, a link to my website there, to the Happy Herb Shop, Arceus Spygerics, my uncle. And then another thing on my website, what you can find too, is health products of other people's that I like and that I recommend to people through my readings, like the Schussler tissue salts you can get on there. You can also find other mineral products that are plant-based by Longevity. There's like a calcium for like joint and bone health. And then there's another complex of vitamins with vitamin C. And then I have links to where you can buy a distiller on there, a copper water bottle, and things like that. So, and then of course on my website you'll find Santos's work and links to where you can get his graphics and a book of reading with him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it sounds like there's a lot on there. So it's like, how can I say, that you're giving people a lot of options and different ideas. So, because maybe some people might prefer a certain ways, maybe people might not want a reading and want different things. So it's good that you're giving them very different options.
That's right.
Moving on, you mentioned alchemy just a minute ago. Obviously, we spoke about this a couple of days ago as well, and how so many different people have different views on alchemy and what alchemy is and how it should be used. Give us your perspective on how we can use it to heal ourselves, and also to touch up on like the different modes we can use to do alchemy. Because when people think of alchemy, people think of a guy making loads of potions and stuff, which is right, but we can also be alchemists through like cooking and through using psychedelics and through many different avenues. So give us your like short outlook on what alchemy is, like as an overview, and the different modalities that we can use it in. I know, sorry, that's a bit of a long question, but
no, it's perfect. I've got something good, because this is very important that people understand what alchemy is. So the difference between alchemy and chemistry is that the al in alchemy is bringing down the energies above Allah.
Yep, exactly.
The all, and it's you're reflecting your higher self through your elements and doing preparations and things like that. And chemistry is just, they're godless. That's the thing, is that they're not using theology and astrology in their preparations and experiments and things like that.
Exactly.
So, and what the true alchemist, their path, what they would do, essentially the path of the shaman and the healer would be, they would know their stars because they would spend a lot of time outside, and they would know the energies of the planets and the plants. So they would be able to read their own chart. And if they had debilities in the chart and weaknesses, what they would do is they would be so in tune with their nature, they would be able to go and forage for their own herbs.
Yeah.
And they would know what herbs would be beneficial for that area of the body that's afflicted.
Yeah.
So they would go and harvest the herb from its home. And that's the best way to get the plant, is from where it's naturally put.
Yeah.
It's also, with permaculture and things like that, you want to maintain what's already there. And so the alchemists and the astrologers would go out and they would go and forage, bring their herbs back in, dry it for 12 days. Interesting, 12. And then they would use a mortar and pestle. So what they're doing when they're reflecting everything that they're doing on their spirit.
Yeah.
So when they go and harvest the plants from its home, that's symbolized as you cutting yourself off from society and becoming the hermit.
Yeah.
And so they take the herb and they're taking their earthly nature and they're bringing it in their home, and now they're going to be transmuting their body, because the plant is resembled as the body.
Yeah.
So you reflect everything you're doing, and then they dry it. So you reflect that, whatever that means to you, drying everything out, getting all the contaminants out, like, purging. That's basically what I think what that would resemble. And then after it's dry, you take the mortar and pestle and you grind the body down. And that's resembled as killing the lower nature. And that's what the Bible has taken literally. And they say, go and kill the women and children. This is not to be taken literal. It just means to do it on plants that's been given to you for food, which is what God says. And you reflect that on your soul, and you do it to yourself. That's what you do with the mortar and pestle. It's called you make it the caput mortem. So you're grinding it down until it's a powder. And then, of course, they'll already be having their, the best alcohol to get is from grapes. But what the alchemists used to do is to be able to get the alcohol essence from that herb, because they were so abundant with that herb. Yeah. So, but now people use the purest alcohol to use is grape alcohol. And so like I said, they make their own distilling system, and when you distill the wine and make it into a spirit, that's equivalent to Jesus turning wine or water into wine.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's wine into water, the spirits.
Yeah.
That so yeah, and the alcohol essence is your mind, because you have gotten smart enough and you're intelligent enough to know about distillation. Mercury is all about distillation. So that's why the alcohol essence resembles the mind. So once you have your caput mortem, you combine the alcohol essence purified, distilled, mix it together, saturate it, and you leave it for 2 months, 40 days, around that time. And then after that time, and you shake it every day. So you're stirring things up a little bit. And of course, this is resembled as you saturating yourself in the mind, in everything that's intellectual. The alcohol essence too is all about purifications. There's nothing wrong with little bits of purified alcohol from grapes. That's why they say wine helps your heart.
Yeah.
But just too much of anything is bad.
Of course.
The reason why become toxic is because we're not having the minerals and the essential oils of the plants with the alcohol in little droplets mixed with distilled water. If we had brews, it would be healthy because alcohol is known to be a solvent. It strips everything, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, is to have the essential oils that is extracted out of the plants from the solvent, and then it separates, and then you take that tincture that's on the top, you separate that from the caput mortem, and instead of disposing of the plant matter like a lot of your holistic practitioners would do nowadays, the alchemists take that matter and they burn it, until it turns into a white fine powder, and you'll only get a very small amount. That's why you have to have a lot of herbs to be working with. So once you have it to a white powder, which takes a long time, then you mix the mineral salts of the plant back into the tincture essence. And so that's the mind, the body, and spirit coming together. Yeah. And it's purification, and you literally reflect your soul in that. So like calcination would be equivalent to like the cremation process, and to be lifting your spirit from your body. So all the alchemists just know how to speed up the ascension process, and they were able to do that by using their elements and their being able to, they got smart enough to be able to do these experiments. So yeah, that's very important to understand. And what you'll find nowadays is that, you know, people need to understand that, yes, it's all about self-initiation. You initiate yourself into this practice. Alchemy is a physical practice that you do, no matter that being through cooking or through doing your essential oils or doing your other health modalities, your daily routine. Daily routine is your alchemy, hence why alchemy is your microcosm, your elements. So, and there's high up there practices that you can do. That's why the elites are using these this magic, but they're inverting it. Yeah. And they've taken it literally, and now they're doing alchemy on people and animals, and they literally are doing these like satanic rituals. Just like how you would do rituals with alchemy, we need to reclaim our true, this is our science. Yeah. And you shouldn't be afraid of doing magical rituals. Another thing you can do in alchemy is you take, you know, you can take your elements that have been given to you. Like what I do is I take, you know, driftwood or rocks that I find, and I glue it together and I make these implements. So, and another thing you can do is you can actually do magical rituals where certain times of the week, at certain times of the day, you can really hone in when you know what's going on in the cosmos, and you can harness their fullest potential by using implements or herbs. Yeah. So that's specifically what I do. Is I don't make my own spagyrics yet. I'm using my uncle's, and I'm doing other modalities that kind of pertain to the three essentials. Yeah. But yeah, soon I want to be doing that because I want to be able to get enough to get bulk herbs and stuff. But right now I make wands for people. So and then I teach them different intentions that you can set, different quote unquote magical rituals that you can do to be able to transmute the energy in you and around you. Yeah. So yeah.
What you mentioned about how you can take particular herbs on particular hours or particular days. So for example, like on a Tuesday, maybe obviously we know Tuesday is related to Mars. So would this incline that we would eat more spicier and more kind of bitter foods?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the spicy foods because they help purge out. Tyr into the Nordic Tuesday. Yep. And yeah, and so what you would do, and he's known to be the fighter. You know, he's Mangalaya. He's got all the gall. Yeah. And so what that resembles in our food is that he fights off diseases and viruses. Mars does that. He's the fighter, and he gets all the baddies out. So when you take spicy foods, that's why you get super hot and, you know, you sweat, because he's pushing them out. You know, you got to see that our food is actually the gift from the gods.
Definitely.
Absolutely. This is the ultimate alchemical perspective, is to be able to see the planet's elements in everything that you see. You know, certain woods that our houses are made of are like Jupiterian or Saturnian, you know, and you can put these energies around you. With the herbs, Mars would be, you know, turmeric first and foremost. Turmeric is Mars.
Yeah. Also with turmeric as well, I spoke about this with you yesterday when we was talking about how the walnut is good for your brain, and the nut is in the UK we call someone's head your nut. And then I thought of Nut, the sky goddess, and I come up with a lot of these etymologies. But it's funny you said turmeric, but turmeric is like orange, which is like near just below your solar plexus in your stomach, and it's good for your tummy. And turmeric sounds like tummy. So there's so many different connections. I'm a bit weird like this with words. I do this a lot with words. So there's so many things I've connected like that. But yeah, definitely. I've got a question also. I'm going to talk about the signature. Sorry, my bad. Is it signature of doctrines or doctrines of signature? I can't remember which way round it is.
The secret doctrine?
No, you know where like how, like for example, we correlate certain foods, the way they look will be good for a certain part of your body. So like kidney beans will be good for your kidneys, they say. And
right, yes.
It's called the doctrines of signature, I think.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Sorry, I just got it mixed up. I weren't sure which way round it was.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, just carrying on from what you were saying about like the planets and stuff. What's your information on like the humours of the planets and the elements of the planets and which parts of the body they pertain to? Because whenever I look at because they always say that the chakras correspond with the planets, but whenever I look at the syncretism of chakra and planets, there are so many different lists in different orders. Obviously, I know like the Chaldeans, they like did the chakras and the planets by the orbit. So the red chakra would be the moon, the orange chakra would be Mercury, the yellow one would be Venus, the green one the Sun, the blue one Mars, then Jupiter, and the crown would be Saturn. But there's different orders. Which order do you know, or is there different ways that different planets relate to different parts of the body and not just one part of the body? If that makes sense. I hope I didn't confuse you there.
Yeah, no, I think I know how to answer this one. Yeah. Okay, because this is something that I've been stomped on as well. So I think that the hermetic order of the planets is that it's always flipped. So the Saturn would be the crown, Kronos.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jupiter would be the third eye because he's the one-eyed centaur. And the throat, is Mars.
Yeah.
Venus would be the solar plexus, Mercury the sacral, and the moon the base. But then if you flip it to where I think it's the hermetic one, that it's the moon that's the crown.
Yeah.
And Mercury is the third eye. Venus is the throat, the blue. Mars is the solar plexus. Jupiter is the sacral, and Saturn is the red base chakra.
Yeah.
So it depends on this is what I've realized. I think because the moon is the closest ones to us.
Yeah.
So that means that the moon is the base chakra of God, whereas the moon for us is associated with our crown chakra. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does make sense. It's like
one side is the body of God, which would be Saturn on top, and then the other side would be Saturn on the bottom base. That's our body, and then the moon's on the top because she's the closest one to our heads.
Yeah, that makes it's like the zodiac where the moon is at the top at the Tropic of Cancer, and Capricorn is at the bottom.
Yeah,
with Saturn at the bottom in Capricorn.
It depends on if you're. I think that with the Saturn on the top, I think that's God's body. I think that's the spiritual order, and
exactly.
And then the Hermetic body order would be the moon on the top and Saturn on the bottom.
Yeah. So one's more physical and one's more transcendental.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
But also, there's different like systems in the body. Do they relate to particular planets? Like, for example, like your liver or your. I know the signs from head to bottom correlate to the different parts of the body. So Aries is your head, Taurus is the throat, Gemini is your hands, Cancer is the breast, Leo is the heart, Virgo is the stomach, Libra is the kidneys, Scorpio is the genital area, Sagittarius your hips, Capricorn your knees, Pisces, Aquarius your shins, and Pisces the feet. But do the actual organs in the body pertain to particular planets?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you mind expanding on that a bit?
Yes. So it's important because when you're looking at the signs in your chart, that's pertaining to the physical body and how the structure of the body is. Then when you look at your planets, those are your chakras. Those are the organs. Those are what the frequencies that are emanated from your vital organs in your body.
Yeah.
So, and then also a bit of the zodiac signs, like from Aries to Pisces. This also is the 12 systems of the body. So that's also internal as well as it resembles the external part of our body.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, I just want to say too that each planet has more than one element associated with it, except for like the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the planets though, it's your chakras. So the sun is like, of course, your heart.
Yeah.
And the moon is your stomach and the upper digestive system. The sun really quick is the heart, the spine, and your vitality in the body. Moon is the stomach, upper digestive system, the breasts, and the lymphatic. And then Mercury is the nervous system, the thyroid, the intestines, the colon, the respiratory, and a bit of like the brain.
Yeah.
To the left and the right, the caduceus, the two serpents, it's the brain, the two hemispheres.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Venus is the throat or the voice box, and a bit of the mouth, kidneys, the thymus, ovaries, bladder, and then the female parts. And then Mars is the arteries, the blood, the head, the muscles, the adrenals, and the male parts, gallbladder, and your defense system. Jupiter is the liver, the thighs, the feet, growth in general, the pituitary. Saturn is a bit of the skin, the skin cells, hair, teeth, everything that densifies on your body, bones, spleen, the veins as well. And then going to the outer planets, Uranus is the parathyroid gland, your neural activity, and your auric field. Then you've got Neptune, the pineal gland, your psychic abilities, and your astral body.
Yeah. Then
Pluto is interesting. He's the pancreas, the prostate, metabolism, elimination. Obviously, he rules over the genitals and regeneration of skin cells. And then Chiron is the gastrointestinal tract, or the muscles.
Wow. Okay, thanks for that, sister. You know, I mentioned about the doctrines of signature, like how, like they say, like carrot looks like your eyes, so it's good for your eyes, and cashews look like your teeth, so they're good for your teeth. Is there any ones that, any other ones you can suggest that you know of?
Oh yeah, like carrots. When you cut a carrot, it looks like an eye.
Yeah.
And beta carotenes are known to help give you better eyesight. And it's interesting. The carrots give you clarity.
Oh wow! Exactly. Yeah.
That's why they're associated with Mercury. So, and it makes you be able to see. And let's see. And then you've got tomatoes are good for the heart. That's vitality and the sun. And they look like a heart. And then you've got, of course, walnut looks like a brain. And then cashews are the kidneys. And then you've got, let's see. What else is there?
I can't think off the top of my head now as well, but that's why I asked you. I've probably got it written down somewhere in my notes, because I've actually done a show on a similar kind of topic, and we spoke about it briefly, but I just thought I'll get some ideas from you as well.
Yeah, let's see. Let me pull this picture up I have saved. Oh yeah, mushrooms look like the ears.
Yep.
And grapefruits look like the breast.
Yeah.
And then let's see what else we got here.
Is it sweet potato? Is that your pancreas? Or was it something else?
Yes, sweet potato pancreas. That's right here. And let's see. Of course, the kidney beans. Figs are good for the testes. Grapes are good for the lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the carrot one with the eyes. That's the one that I was able to get right away, because I remember that one. And avocados for the kidneys. Celery is good for the bones, and they look kind of like the bone structure.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. It's funny actually, sister, as well. I was thinking about like alchemy in terms of like psychedelics, and I've done some research on how how particular marijuana strains are good for particular signs and stuff. And I've been doing some research on it and the etymology and stuff, and it really, really makes sense. And also, you know how with cannabis plants, you have an indica plant and a sativa plant.
Yes.
Well, I didn't realize that this is prevalent in food as well, because I have a book here. It's called like Pocket Facts. And I was looking through it, and inside it, it's got like every single like name of like a plant and the Latin name for it. And mango in Latin is actually called mango indica. And from what I know, an indica is a strain which is more, because you know you can either get stoned or get high. For me, getting high is being more like more cerebral or more spiritual, whereas being stoned is being more grounded and more earthy. So
right. It's brilliant.
And
brilliant.
Basically, if mango is an indica, and I was watching how a lot of people use mango to calm their nerves down before. It's apparently really good to eat before you go to sleep, because it calms your nerves down. So it would make sense that mango is an indica, just like how an indica weed strain would get you stoned and bring you more down to earth. Whereas if you smoke a sativa, it's more cerebral high, gives you energy. And like there's a lot of green vegetables like cucumber, lettuce, and peas are all sativas. And if you think of green, it gives you energy. So it syncretizes even with that. And like, I always think like, if you're more of like a water sign, an earth sign, then you would need a sativa, because it would counterbalance how you already are. Whereas if you're a fire and air, maybe an indica would be better for you, because it would keep you more grounded. So I don't know if you've ever thought of that or ever looked into that before.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's actually a graph that I'm looking at right now that somebody had sent to me a while back, and it shows the different strains that correspond to the different chakras of the body.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, the sativas are associated with the crown and the third eye.
Yeah.
And then the hybrids are the throat and all the way from the throat to the solar plexus.
Yeah.
And then you've got the indicas with the sacral and the root chakra.
Yeah, because sorry, sister, to cut you off. If you even think about the word sativa, it's got eva on the end of it. And to me, I see sativa as more, well, it's more of a feminine plant. It's longer, it's more wavier, whereas the indica is a bit more of a chubbier plant, and it has more masculine features. So even if you look at the way the plant is structured itself, you can see it within there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a reason why we have colors in our foods. You know, it's the rainbow. Eat the rainbow.
Yeah.
And if you have a look at, I've got a chart available to, that I send to people when they book readings with me, where I made like a chart where it has Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday with the planets that correspond to the day.
Yeah.
And then I also have it highlighted to what color it is. So the sun is like your golds and like ambery colors, and then the moon is like your soft blues, sky blue, and then Tuesday's red. So of course, all your chili peppers, and turmeric, they're all red colors.
Yeah.
So you can really determine what a food is going to do for you by looking at its color. And we forgot that knowledge, and even how it's shaped. Like bananas are good for the moon, and they look like little crescent moons.
Yeah. Well, actually, sister, sorry to cut you off. Just to get to the actual word of banana comes from the moon goddess of Nana. So
there you go. That's it.
So, yeah, I just thought I'd add that. Sorry to cut you off, but I thought I'd just add that in.
Well, to add on to that, peppermint. Mint is mind.
Yeah, and it's moon as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and peppermint is known to be one for Mercury, and he rules over the mind and communications and speaking. So it gives you a lot of clarity, as well as carrots, which is another one for Mercury.
Wow.
And of course, Venus is your roses. I mean, and like
there's wild roses correspond with Venus, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. And of course, too, the violet flowers are also Venus. Roses are red, violets are blue.
Yeah.
It's their correspondence to Venus. And violets are actually good source of vitamin E, which is good for your skin. It's an emollient, and it helps give you more color, and it brings the moisture back into your skin, basically, is what vitamin E does.
Yeah.
And so Venus is blue, whereas Mars is red. Yeah. And all of the planets for Mars are pretty much a reddish color, all the spicy foods. But yeah, with the indicas and the sativas, there's different strains that correspond to the chakras, and different flavors as well. I'll send it. Is there a way that I can send that to you?
Maybe you can just inbox that to me whenever just after the show or whenever, really.
Yeah. It's very important to know the colors of the planets.
Yeah.
That's something that I think too. That's another thing that I offer is with that daily routine, you wear certain colors as well, and you chant certain gods.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can, when you're saying the names of these foods and these fruits and stuff, you're actually saying the names of the gods as well. So everything that you do, you have to reflect it. When you eat a fruit, you're doing alchemy. Our body is like a walking distillation.
Yeah.
You know, so we are an alchemical structure, you know. So yeah, when we know our foods, we know where we're going as well, I think, because I really do think that all how we get to ascension is really by loving exactly what we've been given.
Yeah.
And if we're lying to ourselves, putting all these things on to make us, you know, that are just, they're not pertaining to your natural self, it's harder to ascend when you are contaminated. Okay, I'll just say, you know, like we need to purify ourselves to be able to ascend, and that's it. And that's what you do with alchemy.
Definitely.
And people are able to do that with their physical body and their spirit.
Yeah, totally agree. Even me, sister, I've noticed before, when I used to eat meat, on my shin I had like psoriasis, like, you know, like peely skin and all, like it was all like flaky. And then since I've stopped eating meat, it's gone. And I've noticed little things like this because it's probably just all the rubbish that was in it, clogging it all up, has probably been cleared. Or I don't know if it's because of that, but it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of a coincidence for me, but it does definitely make a difference. And it does definitely, not eating meat does clear your mind. I know it's not easy for everyone because we've been brought up our whole lives, but I mean, we're all at different stages at the end of the day, and I'm not going to sit here and preach to people because I'm not perfect, but it's just, I would definitely urge people to look into eating a more plant-based diet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Everybody is living in different time zones, and I definitely, I don't want to push people away, but I do want to help people. And sometimes, you know, people get really stubborn, you know, because a lot of the reasons why we crave meat and things like that is because we have things living inside of us that are controlling our thoughts and our cravings. You know, the cravings that we have isn't a natural human, you know, naturally we should just be able to eat an apple and feel full, but it's not like that. There's nothing wrong with eating, you know, lots of, you know, food. You just have to know too, fasting is very important, and which will really help clear your body. The more you do fastings during the week, it really, it clears up your digestion. So
yeah,
there's always little things, and that's also what I offer to people is help with that. If they want to get onto the vegan diet specifically, I have ways and beautiful vegan recipes that I also offer to people that help get them to feeling good. Because a lot of people, the reason why they go back to eating meat is because they still have parasites that are dying inside of them. So there's different things that you can do, certain concentrations of herbs that you can take to help cleanse the bowels so that you can absorb your minerals. You know, that's very important. That's the whole point of alchemy, is to be able to get those minerals in, you know, the cell salts that Santos always talks about.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually have used cell salts before. I haven't been using them recently, but I have used them before, and it's definitely a very, very, very interesting topic. That's like a whole show in itself also, but the next part I want to lead on to, sister, is we've kind of touched up on what the elements are and what foods are good for us and of what part of the body, but something that I'm very frustrated with since I've become a student of astrology is how much people play down astrology, and they say, "Oh, you believe in astrology and it's all rubbish." But it's just so frustrating because I know how useful it is and how much it's helped me understand things and understand the way people are and the different energies of nature, and it's just such a beautiful science, and it's so frustrating that people's lack of open-mindedness won't help them embrace it. And it's just annoying because I know it will help people, but it's just trying to explain it to people. And from your perspective, can you explain why you think astrology is so important?
Yes. Yeah, well, there are, even in your day-to-day life, the days of the week, Sunday through Friday, you know, there's actually prominent energies that are taking place that are coming from above.
Yeah.
I think that what's going on here is that the planets have created this earth.
Yeah.
So we are a part of them. They are our transcendental gods and our spirits and our higher self. So, and of course, when we go outside and I mean, if somebody's going to discredit astrology, then that means that they must not see the sunlight.
Exactly.
And look up at the sky and say, oh, there's a sunrise, there's a bright light that's making it so bright that I can't see any other star in the sky. And then the moon comes out, you know, afterwards, and you see all the stars, you see everything. What are those bright lights in the sky? There's got to be some type of, it must be some science. It must be some type of language that's been given to us. And ultimately, it is what's given us our language and our physical bodies, because, you know, that's what I'm learning, is that it's not only is it a way for us to be able to connect the dots with people in our personality types, but it's also a way of navigating through your elements, because the plants and the planets are the same thing.
Yeah.
And the plane is like your heart space, which is you too. So the planets are a part of you. They are resembled as your chakras, your aura. You know, they play a big role on your aura and the colors and everything that has light. Everything that absorbs light is a part of this this system. You know, these they rule over our elements. They rule over the elements that are reflected in our personality types. Yeah. That's why.
So interesting, sister. I actually was in my room one day, and I turned the torch on my phone, and I happened to point it at my TV that wasn't on, and I could see the electromagnetic spectrum in my TV, and it was really, I found it quite fascinating, because I've always heard that gold light or white light is the 7 colours of the rainbow condensed. But just by accident, I actually was able to see that. But I was able to see through the white light just by pointing my torch to a black screen TV that's not on, and it created the electromagnetic spectrum. So, like you said, the 7 planets are the 7 energies of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it would make total sense that that's what created the Earth, because that's what electrical phenomena is. It's red shift, blue shift.
Absolutely. And the certain names of the gods correspond to these planets. So when you say these gods, you're saying you're saying the frequency of these planets.
Yeah.
And then you've got, like, there's certain musical notes that correspond to the planets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the note F in the musical scale is associated with Frigga, or Venus.
Yeah.
Flora, the flowers, you know.
G is also the seventh. I think it's the seventh note, if I'm not mistaken. G is the seventh letter of the alphabet also.
Yes, the god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Freemasonic G and loads of things. The G connects to Gaia, it connects to so many things.
That's right. And the hang on, let me see this really quick. I have a list here. Just hang on. Sorry.
That's no problem. That's no problem.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, so the sun is the tone D. So
Yeah.
when you play the D note, you're pertaining to the sun. Deus.
Wow. Deus means God, doesn't it? Deus.
Yeah.
But also, in Greek, that means the ceiling as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yes, or, dad or day. D for day, the sun. He rules over the day. And then Tuesday or Mars would be C. So that's the tone C.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jupiter is B, big.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else do we have here? The moon is a G. Interesting.
Yeah, moon, mother, yep.
Yeah.
G.
And like what we said in earlier with the chakras, the moon to us is the crown, which is the seventh chakra.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a blue.
Well, if you think about like the top chakra and the bottom chakra, well, the moon is 28-day cycle and the Saturn is 28 years. So they've kind of got some relationship anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Carrying on from what we've been talking about, so we spoke about the importance of astrology, and obviously there's things called birth charts or natal charts where people can find out more specific details about themselves. How important is the birth chart to identify particular problems we have with us medically?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You just kind of cut out a little bit.
Oh, okay. I was saying that we've spoke about how important astrology is, the science of astrology, but obviously within astrology you have a natal chart, which is your birth chart, which shows where all the planets and luminaries were placed in the firmament when you was born. How important is this to pinpoint particular medical issues for us on the individual note?
I think that it depends on the person's chart. So because some people have pretty good stuff happening in their signs and maybe good aspects that it wouldn't show in the chart that they would need a medical reading.
Yeah.
Maybe they need their soul is a little bit lost, because they don't have debilities in the signs, which would be your body, or bad aspects in the chart. But see, this is the thing, is that everybody has something going on in the chart that is disharmonious.
Yeah.
It does. So, and when you read it medically, you can actually just, if people don't want to use plants and food, they can literally, to be able to bring those energies up, they can, or that area, there's certain remedies that you can do to bring that up. And it doesn't have to just be a physical thing. People, I like to use implements. I like to use my material things to be able to have it's not because some people might say, oh, that's idol worship. No, it's to use these as tools.
Yeah.
you don't worship these things. You just use them as tools to be able to balance out the things that are going on in the chart. And some people just need, you know, to talk about it, and they're able to actually transmute themselves by learning what's going on in their chart. And that's beautiful. But not everybody can just do that, because they need a material, something that's physical, to be able to help them and guide them.
Yeah.
And so I think it really depends on the person. You know, I've seen charts where there's people that just have perfect health. You know, there might be a little bit of, you know, weakness or like depleted energy, but overall they just want to know like when they're going to get their when like a job opportunity is going to open up for them, or when they're going to meet their partner. I can do all of that.
Yeah.
It's easy to be able to read those things. It's not easy to implement the elements with the astrology. That's something that a lot of astrologers leave out, which will really help guide the people.
Yeah.
If they tell them, look, if you have bananas, it'll bring up your moon aspect. You know, it's simple. I mean, that's what your shamans would be able to do. The shamans would be able to read the chart and go, oh, you need more turmeric because you're more prone to illnesses because you're Pisces or something. You know, things like that. So I think, yeah, it really depends on the person.
Yeah. Okay. I've come to the end of my questions, sister. We spoke about you doing, I don't expect a full reading, but just to give the listeners a bit of a kind of preview on how you would read a chart, would you mind looking at my one for a bit?
Absolutely. I have it pulled up here now.
No problem. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear it. Obviously, I've looked at it myself. Personally, I don't think I am as advanced as you and people like Santos and my other friends who are astrologers and stuff. Obviously, I have my own interpretation of it, but it's always good to get a second opinion, so it'll be interesting to see what things you notice.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is I have your chart pulled up here now. Yeah. This is interesting. You've got you are coming up on a full moon in your chart.
Yep.
Yes. Sun. Yeah. There's like a 7-degree orb between the sun and moon, and the sun, yes, is in Scorpio in the 5th house of pleasure and risk-taking. And this is all about love affairs, romance, self-creativity, expression, you know. And then Scorpio is, of course, the most intense transformative sign of the zodiac. It's associated with the card of death in the tarot card.
Yeah.
Because we kill a part of ourselves to be able to transmute and rebirth ourselves. Scorpio is the sign of alchemy. So he's all about transmutation and transformation, very sexual sign.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, very prone to like the deep things, the secretive things, and the things that you do kind of like behind the scenes, you know. This is all about like money from partners type of energy, where Scorpio is known to usually be able to hold a business pretty well. Or they're definitely the types of people that go all in, you know. They're just, because they're ruled by Mars. And I'll just go to your moon. Your moon in Taurus is beautiful. Beautiful moon in Taurus. This is where she exalts.
Yeah.
So, of course, you know, the moon is all about your emotions. So I have found with people that have their moon in Taurus, they are the people that you want to go to when you need somebody to talk to. If you're going through emotional things, they're really steady, stable, emotional people. You know, but of course, having planets in the opposite sign, Scorpio, he's very reactive.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, you know, although you have stable emotions, what will make your moon react is your sun in Scorpio.
Yeah.
A little bit. Not so bad, not so much. Let me see. Yeah. Well, you also have Mercury in Sagittarius, which is where he's in detriment because he
Yeah.
rules an opposite of Gemini. So, and he's in he's in the 5th house next to your sun. So this is like one of the most benevolent houses. You know, this is also the house of children. So you probably like the childlike aspect, you know, you like to be around younger people. You definitely you're big on projects, and yeah, self-expression. So that's very important with the 5th house. It's also the house of pleasure.
Yeah.
And what will shake this house up a bit would be, I would say, it's Mercury is causing some anxieties and nervousness with that, because when you watch a horse and you see the winds blowing through the trees, they start freaking out.
Yeah.
Because Sagittarius rules over the sciatica. So, yeah, Sagittarius is of course, my need to explore and expand my horizons and the world. And he's all about higher wisdom I seek. He's the one who delivers us from evil. And it's very beautiful that you have Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, in Sagittarius and in the 5th house of pleasure. I definitely could feel that you have big Sagittarius energy. He's the jovial one, you know, very happy, go lucky, good fortune. This is beautiful Jupiter you've got there, brother.
Thank you.
You do have a lot of planets around your Jupiter and Sun and Mercury in the 5th. To kind of elaborate on the 5th house, and sorry if I'm jumping around.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is also childbearing house. This is the arts, dance, drama, theater, personal love, playing around, recreation, entertainment, and relaxation, games.
Sorry, sister, I'm laughing because it's all true.
Yeah. Yes, or like sports, speculation, investments, gambling. It's the entertainment house.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes, and Jupiter is my search for meaning, truth, and ethical values. So he's all about morality. That's why he's the one who saves us. He's the savior. That's why he's the luckiest planet, Jupiter. That's great. Love that, Jupiter. And let's see, what else have we got here? Venus in Libra, beautiful again. Beautiful. But yeah, of course, Mars is shaking it up in your Libra, but we'll focus here. Venus is my capacity to attract people and things that I love and value. And she's in Libra, my need to cooperate with others and to create balance and harmony in my life.
Yeah.
And she's found in the 4th house. The 4th house is your private life, your private self, your home and your family, your psychological foundations. This is, I think, pertaining to, the 4th house in traditional astrology is the mother, and the 10th house is the father.
Yeah.
So you really look at like what planets are there. And this is actually interesting because you've got Venus and Saturn and Pluto there. So this is like, could be mom and dad. But I think, this, the moon, you really have a good connection with your mother for sure. Because the moon is the mother aspect. That's where you also find what's going on with mom, dad in the 4th house. Venus could be, you have siblings.
Yep. I have 2 older brothers.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, well, the 4th house, to expand on that one, the 4th house is like your personal integration, your a protected and secure environment, traditions, your heritage, your background.
Yeah.
This is also the source of emotional security and wholeness. Introversion, the parent who played the mother role, your land, your property. It's a very patriotic house.
Yeah. I used to be a very patriotic person, but Now, patriotism makes me cringe.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yes. And it's also because it's associated with Cancer, the home, the foundations. And this is also subconscious. And like, this is the house of intimate ties as well. And later life conditions, circumstances that surround your environment where you come up from. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely some feminine energy coming in the home. Beautiful feminine. Libra's, of course, all about balance. This is the sign that really looks at both sides of the spectrum. It's the sign of the diplomat. Its image is like a rainbow because it's very balanced. And an interpersonal cardinal air sign, I relate, all about relationships with people. So, in this Venus aspect, of course, she's domicile, where she rules in Libra. So you do have a very beautiful feminine energy that was probably inspired by your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, your mom is in Venus, a fellow. Your moon is in Venus, a fellow. Your moon was in Taurus, a fellow Venus sign, and then you look where your Venus is at, and it's in Libra. So this shows that you're very connected with your mother.
Yeah.
But with your father, he's a bit intense. He's definitely, he's the sign of Scorpio. Like having Saturn in this Scorpion sign, this is going to make the dad maybe a little bit aggressive, and he might hold grudges. He might be the one to kind of hold a grudge a little bit. Because Scorpio is known to be super, and to the fact that, let's see. Yeah, it's a 9-degree orb between Saturn and Moon. It's not that close in opposition, but if anything, Dad's just he's somebody that's been quite the like combative, maybe a bit like penetrating with his ideas, maybe. Scorpio, he's definitely got a deep complex about him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Powerful.
My dad is a Scorpio as well.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, and then we'll go to Mars now. So Mars in Libra will make the Libra kind of a bit unbalanced. So although you've got Venus there, Mars, of course, is ruling in opposite of Libra, Aries.
Yeah.
So all about direction, and he's all about he's the one that acts to assert himself based on personal desire. And Venus in Libra, this Libra axis, is all about relating with others and to be able to cooperate. So there's an imbalance between cooperating with others and to be like an individual.
Yeah.
And that's going to show up in the third house, which is of networking, the online communications, maybe like the learning and exchanging information from people, and the connections in your immediate environment. It'll make the person like uneasy and maybe a bit prone to accidents, I would say.
Okay.
And that might show up in like you traveling around in short distances. Because the third house is all about, it's associated with Gemini, which is the traveler, the short traveler, whereas Sagittarius, opposite of Gemini, is the long distance traveler. So you definitely have you're definitely traveling in your immediate environment a lot. You definitely have that, you you seek to learn and exchange information from people, but there is a bit of uneasiness because it's in Libra, which is always trying to balance things out.
Yeah.
So, and what that will show up in the medicals, because it's in Libra, there's going to be issues maybe with the gallbladder. There might be issues with the kidneys. Mars is the gallbladder. This is the arteries. This is also associated with maybe the muscles, adrenals, maybe a lack of energy, a drive. Libra is the lumbar, the loins, the kidneys. So, that's an energy that will be showing up as, weak in the body.
Yeah.
Although I think one kidney would be detrimental, another kidney would be perfectly healthy because Venus is in there.
Yeah.
So it would just be one of those kidneys, or something going on with like your like urine and maybe bladder a bit.
I do go quite a lot. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Well, another thing too is the Mercury is, like I said, debilitated in Sagittarius, and Mercury in the medicals would be your thyroid, your nervous system. This is also associated with a part of the brain and a part of the intestines and respiratory. So those areas of the body will be afflicted, and because he's in Sagittarius, it'll show up in the muscular system or the thighs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jupiter is the big planet. So Jupiter in Sagittarius, there's definitely a big energy going on here in the horse. There is a very, very heroic nature about you. Absolutely. A hero. And also a transformer too, with the Scorpio. So big Scorpio, Sagittarius energy you got there.
Yeah.
And then let's see, Uranus in Sagittarius. Uranus is my unique individuality and capacity to liberate myself from past limitations. And so I think what that will indicate too is you'll be able to liberate yourself by understanding or overstanding, understanding. They're all good words. There's nothing wrong with the word understand. Yeah. Pisces is known to be the one to stand under you because of the feet. So they literally hold everybody up, the understanders. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you can be an overstander or an understander, but that's the thing of Sagittarius and Pisces, because it's Jupiterian. The word understand is very big there, and you'll get that.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to liberate yourself by opening up your mind, but becoming a visionary, exploring, maybe like traveling around long distances. Very frank. You get a lot. You able to liberate yourself by being super straight up with people and not being afraid to say what's up. And you love animals. Sagittarius is associated with the animals as well, athletic. The horse, you love animals.
Yeah.
And becoming the sage. So you're able to liberate yourself by becoming the sage and the wise old philosopher. And also through religious and idealistic matters, visionary, moral, truth-seeking things. Those are the things that will help liberate you. So that's all about Uranus.
Yeah.
It'll show up in, your expression, your self-expression and things like that in the 5th. And then going over to Neptune. Neptune is my capacity to transcend the finite self through expressing unity with the greater whole, the ultimate sign of syncretism. And again, you unify yourself through becoming the sage, traveling around long distances, adventuring, expanding yourself, happiness, lots of happiness. Happiness is what gets you to the higher realm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving on to Pluto. Pluto is in 0 degrees Scorpio. Woo! Lucky. Because Pluto is obviously domicile in Scorpio. But if he was a few minutes before, if you were born a few minutes before, Pluto would have been in Libra, and he falls there. So that won't pertain to you. You've got Pluto domicile in Scorpio. This, again, big transformational energy about you, brother. And Scorpio is one that is, this could also be, I could see you having children, because this is a very generative, very fertile in nature. This is also very healing when you've got Pluto domicile in Scorpio. I've got this too. Joining, piercing, erotic, intense, powerful. This is associated with the occult, mysteries, the things that are hidden. This is also renewing and musical. Scorpio is also to be very musical as well. I could see that you love music as well. Venus is the planet of music, and she loves to be in Libra, so this will be good musical taste.
Yes.
Whereas Scorpio is musical in nature, where they're able to transform themselves through that. It's intense. Music really helps your emotions. It's a very emotional thing that we do. Music.
That's one of my, I listen to music all day. I love it.
That's right. Yeah, and Pluto is my capacity to transform and renew myself. And again, he's found in the 4th house, in the home. You're going to find a lot of transformation in your home, and maybe even with your mother, I would say. With the maybe, and there's probably something going on with the heritage as well. I think anybody that's got powerful planets in the 4th house that are doing well have a very prominent heritage, or a bloodline, I should say. And this is probably on the mother's side.
Okay.
But yes, what else can we see here? Yeah, Mars and Libra, we got that.
I've also noticed, just to add to, I don't expect you to go on any longer, sister, but I find that I've got a lot of, obviously being a Leo ascendant and having stellium in the 5th house, I have a lot of Leo energy also in my chart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how people see you.
Yeah.
People see you as warm. I love cats. And they're usually have like a very sharp look in their face. They have this fiery look in their eye. The Leo's rising people are known to wear their hearts on their sleeves, or if you have your sun in Leo, because the rising sign correlates to Aries, another fellow fire sign. So having your fire is, people see you as this radiant essence. The sun rules your chart. So, yeah, Leo is the one that says, I show. He's the one that's self-assured. He's honorable, regal, royal. He thrives on appreciation of others. He's super courageous, magnanimous, generous, playful, romantic, creative, and he's the sign of the performer. So, and his image is the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I just want to say once again, sister, I really, really, really appreciate your time. This has been such an amazing show, and I've learned so much. Obviously, once I listen back to it, I will take a lot more of it in. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking your time. Like I said, I've been following your stuff for a little while now, so it's good to connect and exchange ideas. And just before you go, let the people know once again where they can get into contact with you.
Okay, so I on Facebook, Violet Mae Brown.
Yep.
You can contact me through email. Again, violetmaebrown@gmail.com. You can email my me there to go onto my website. That's a good way of getting in contact with my email, so you can message me privately and things like that.
No problem. Once again, sister, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate your time, and peace out.
Yes, thank you, brother. Much love.